Hey guys, Michael J. Solar here with Blue Line Canine, and this May we are going to be doing a costume contest. That's right, a costume contest where you can get to dress your dog up as any Star Wars character, post them on your favorite social media with hashtag May the Force Be With You, and tag us at BLK9MD, and you'll be entering to win either free training or discounts across all of our programs. May the Force be with you.
Hey guys, and welcome to an episode of Dog Talk. This is really exciting. Today we are we're actually at my home office. I was able to finally get out a little bit early, get home and work out of my home office for the evening time. But tonight's episode is going to be about communication, communicado, right? So we have to be able to communicate with our dogs, but more importantly, discuss things with each other, with trainers. And this is probably going to be a pretty good breakdown of what is important here. So, like always, let me start off this episode with a little bit of gratefulness. And how I always do it is simply saying thank you. Thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing. We were able to hit our 100th subscriber on YouTube yesterday. This is a good excitement since we just started with the YouTube channel. So everybody, thank you so much for liking and sharing, pushing out to your friends, building up that subscriber. Next week, we are getting ready to pack up. We're packing up next week to head out for our road trip down to Raleigh. April 3rd, we have a couple of spots left open for our working dogs, which is going to be this Saturday at 11 a.m. So if you are interested, make sure you give us a call to sign up. It is registration only. April 9th, 10th, and 11th, I'll be at the Raleigh Home and Garden Show down in the Raleigh Convention Center, Raleigh, North Carolina. April 13th, Dog Talk Live at the Instill Distilling Company. That night, we're going to actually be starting at 6 p.m. At the Instill Distilling Company. That way we can offer live dog training free of charge to anybody showing up that night. So if you live in the Gardner area or in the Raleigh, Wake County, all right, any surrounding area, and you want to head over to the Instill Distilling Company at 6 p.m., we're going to start Dog Talk Live. We're going to film the whole thing live, but we're going to be working dogs. If you bring your dog, we will work with you. We will give you free training the entire night that we're there for absolutely free. Just come out and you just, I guess, pay for your drinks. No big deal. April 16th, 17th, and 18th, I'll be at the Canine Summit for throwaway dogs. And April 23rd, 24th, and 25th, we'll be at Mary Meadows doing another live episode with some free dog training there. So those are some big announcements that I will also bring up later. But tonight's episode is going to be about communication. Communication between us, you, your dog trainer, your dog groomer, your boarding facility, your daycare, anything that you really have going out there. And the reason why I bring this up is because recently, I think with COVID coming, the restrictions coming to an end, people are starting to travel again. We're definitely seeing a lot more behavioral issues with dogs, but it is very important to be very open, honest with your trainers, your groomers, and things like that. Training in particular, the communication that has to happen between the trainer and the handler or the owner is very, very important. If you're not getting along with your trainer, you really have to reevaluate. You have to talk. You have to be open and honest. You can't hold back. It's a very important thing to discuss everything that you could be discussing with your trainer. In order for them to give you the best results possible with your dog training, they have to be able to communicate to you. You need to be able to communicate to them. You need to be open and honest about your homework assignments, because it's when you really think about it, a lot of training, people tend to not realize this, but when it comes into, I'm getting blinded by my light. There we go. So when it comes into our training, most people don't realize how important the follow through is. The 30, 60, 90. It's a very important thing. When we think about our training, we have to realize that when your trainer is coming out there after doing an in-home lesson, a group class, our platinum programs, your day training, board and trains, whatever it may be, the dog's coming in and we're teaching this stuff that happens very quickly. And it's the follow through that is the key to making it last long, right? So it takes 30 days to create a habit, 60 days to enforce a habit, 90 days to embed a habit. Now, it's important to know that, because when you start training your dog and you're working with a trainer and you're spending this money to work with a trainer, you really have to understand that it's your follow through that's going to make or break the results that you're paying for. So when the trainer is giving you the information and they're trying to relay it to you, if you're not getting it, or if they're not breaking it down for you enough to give you the results that you're looking for, and this is a key thing. So I know I'm going to sidetrack on this one, but this is very important to understand. Your trainer cannot give you the tips the way they perceive it or the way they would do it at home. They have to adjust it to you. And if they don't adjust it to you, that might be because you're not telling them that you don't understand, that you can't live your life this way, and they have to adjust it. It is a trainer's job to adjust the training systems to fit your needs. Okay, that's what you're paying them for. That's what you're working with them for. It's because they need to help adjust the training techniques that they're teaching you and your dog into your lifestyle. And when you understand that, then you will build a pure communication system with your dog. And when you build a communication system with your dog, you two are going to have the strongest bond and the longest lasting relationship that you wouldn't believe. At Blue Line Canine, we teach a thing called leash control. And the way we teach people how to hold a leash has to do with natural psychology of survival. So the way your body holds the leash. It's not about competition. It's not about formal. It's not about looking pretty. It's about making sure you don't get hurt. You have full control of your dog at all times. So we literally, the first thing we teach, and in every evaluation, every communication, we always go over leash control and making you understand that it's not about wrapping your wrist. It's not about getting this thing. And that way you have full control. It's the same thing that like people that over talk to their dogs. When you over talk to your dog, you don't even realize how important that you are to your dog. So when you over talk to them, you are accidentally rewarding behaviors and giving them stuff that makes them want to repeat bad, unwanted behaviors. It is a key to think about that you have to reward behaviors that you like, right? So it's not about ignoring them, but it's about directing them to the behaviors that you're looking for. And that's one of the big things that I have to say in communication is you have to marker with a terminal marker wanted behaviors. You must communicate to your dog through body language to curve the behaviors that you don't like to the behaviors you do like. So when you become verbal, you can be rewarding. I see people, and I go to people's houses all the time, and the first thing out of everyone's mouth is, stop it, and I'm wondering in my mind why they think that's gonna make a difference to the dog. And then they turn to me, and he knows what he did. And then I sit around and I go, okay, so why am I here? And they go that problem right there. And I'm like, well, you keep rewarding it because you're communicating to your dog that you like the behavior. Your dog doesn't speak English. You've never taught a negative marker. You didn't take the time to instruct the dog that a negative marker has just occurred. So you're just making verbal communication to your animal, and you're giving them physical attention. You're giving them verbal attention. The only thing you're probably missing at that point in time, which most people even push their dog or touch their dog to take them off the counters and things like that. So you manage to get all three levels of communication done during this time. So your dog tends to repeat the behavior. So I'm going to go over something tonight. It's called markers. The first one is a terminal, which we like to use as a verbal, right? We go, yes, good boy. And we've gone over that in previous episodes. You have intermediate, good boy, good girl, right? Then you have negatives, no, e's, and all those other things. And you've heard me say this a million times. I'm not a fan of negative markers. But here's the thing. This is going to be the key that you have to look at. Number one, when we look at humans, we tend to realize we tend to forget that we teach these markers over an entire year's period. But we get a dog and we immediately start doing things. For example, when you have a puppy, your puppy should never be off a leash. Never should be off a leash. If you have a puppy, that dog should not know what life is like without a leash. Mike, he's so good. He follows me around. He doesn't need it. He's so great off leash. The problem is that as your dog is growing up in this puppy stage, they're weak, their muscles aren't developed, and you're not teaching them what the leash means. So by not teaching them what the leash means, then all of a sudden when the dog gets older and they have physical control, they start pulling you, pronging you because you never showed them what the leash meant before it became a necessary tool. So now all of a sudden we're going to go back. And now I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're a parent I'm going to open up the chat. I want you guys to know that you can chat anytime you want. We can have an open communication here. But from 0 to 1 year old, a baby is taught what they call a verbal or terminal marker. And I'm going to give you a prime example using my children. When Travis, my oldest son, he was born, I would go in, every time I would see him from the moment he came out of my wife, literally the moment he came out of my wife, I said, "Hi, Travis, it's Daddy. I'm Daddy. Hi, buddy. Hi." And I would always have this high pitch, very happy voice. "Hi, Travis, your boopies. Oh, my buddy." And I would make this big deal, and I would have Travis and a high level, high pitch, high level reward. And this was for 12 months of his life. So from 0 to 1 year old, my son and I had this extremely high verbal thing. Then from 1 to 2, I started encouraging him. And I'm like, "Come on, buddy, you can do it. Come on, take that step." Or yes, you can do it. One hand after the other, you could grow. There you go. Come on, buddy. And I would encourage him through this. That's called an intermediate marker. I'm giving him encouragement with positive energy and positive enthusiasm to draw him to me, right? To then I would be able, and once he came to me through crawling, walking, or whatever task I'm looking for him to do, I would have then said, "Yes, you did it, buddy. Yeah, good job, Travis." And that would have been back to that terminal marker. And then from 2 to 3, they have this thing. And again, any parent on here, tell me if you ever heard this phrase called terrible twos. And terrible twos is when our children find out that they have middle names. So in this case, my son, Travis Michael, would be told Travis Michael, and then all of a sudden he knew he was in trouble. If me or his mother would turn around and go Travis Michael, he knew he was in trouble. And if you're a parent, or if you're not a parent, but you remember hearing your middle name by your parents' name, by your parents, tell me right now, give me a thumbs up in the comment section that you remember that phrase. Or I guarantee you, if your parents to this day would use your full name, you knew you were in trouble. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Because here's the thing. We look at human communication and we tend not to realize that it took 3 years to teach verbal to intermediate and correctional markers. But when we get our puppies and we get our dogs, we want this to happen overnight, and we don't take the time. It's going to take you at least 30 days to do this. And this is the funniest thing to think about, but you have to realize it's going to take 30 days to teach the terminal marker. It's going to take 30 days to teach the intermediate marker. And then I even suggest that you leave the negative marker alone. It's not even worth it. Why ruin the value that you just built, right? So I'll give you a funny thing. Now, I've talked about this in previous episodes, and if you've ever been around me, this is one of the biggest things that you probably ever heard me talk about is the name drill. The name drill is direction, correction, recall, and focus. Write this down. Your dog's name is a 4-point command. It's direction, correction, recall, and focus. Okay. So when you call your dog, let's say his name is Fido, and you say, "Fido," that means you've corrected him, you've directed him, you recalled him, or you focused him. That's all you need, that first command, right? Now I'm going to show you how it works in humans. My son Travis is 11 years old, and if he was home, I would call his name. I would say, "Travis," and then he would say, "What?" Right? And if you have kids, I guarantee you've experienced this one, or maybe you were that kid and you are doing this. When your parents scream your name, you would say, "What?" And then if they scream it again, "What?" Then they would have to follow with, "Get over here," or "Stop doing what you're doing." And that's when the negative markers or the directions come out. Well, in this case, I don't bother with that because I understand how this works. So what I do is Travis would turn around. He would say, "What?" And I would say, "Travis." And he would, "What?" And I would say one more time, "Travis." And then I wouldn't say a word. And next thing you know, my son comes all the way down to my office, the one I'm sitting in right now. And he would turn around and go, "What do you need, Dad?" And I said, "Nothing, buddy. I love you." Now, what I just did to my son was the same exact thing that I do to my dog. Now, I know I'm telling you that I train my dog and my kids the same, but it works, and it's the same idea, because never once does my son look at me as a corrected device. Now, my son doesn't look at me as a losing of value and try to avoid me. My son's looking at me as a high value, and every time I call his name, he knows he's going to be reinforced with love and affection. Now, my son knows that I'm going to tell him I love him, that he knows to come over to get the love, give him a hug, give him whatever, to let him know that there's a bond being built between us two. And I do the same thing with my dog. I put my dog out with, what is that? Hold on. I got a comment here. It says, "Oh my goodness. Yes, or my given. Yeah, there you go. And then yeah, smooth. Yeah, there you go. Right. So I'm getting it. So it makes sense, right? So when you really start to put this stuff into perspective, these are things that we do naturally, but we don't relate it to our dog. And that's why I always tell people that are parents, I always tell them flat out that if you are a parent, you are a phenomenal trainer. You just have to adjust it properly. So with your dog, what you want to do is you want to get a 15-foot leash, not okay, just for the record, not a retractable leash, a 15-foot leash. Bring your dog out into an area, for example, your front yard. This is great socialization. Allow them to test the environment. And when your dog is not paying attention, you yell their name, right? So, Fido, yes, good boy. Dog comes running over. So what happens is I would say the dog's name. The dog would immediately look or loosen the leash. I would say, yes, good boy. And Fido's come running back to me, giving up the garbage truck, the police car, the bikes, all these distractions. And I got to sit on my front lawn, drinking my favorite beverage, or maybe eating a hot dog now that summer's coming. Who knows? But either way, I'm working hard to be lazy. Now, when we think of communication and why it's important is because here's the thing. As you listen to this show, you can hear all the tips that are out there. And sometimes you come across some more difficult issues. And that's when you have to reach out to me or my company or other dog trainers. And this is where I ask that you have to tell us what steps you've done. You have to be open. You have to break it down. You have to be telling us these details because, for example, I can't train a dog that lives in the country the same way I would train a dog that lives in the city. And I'll give you a prime example of that. When it comes into socialization, my wife and I grew up in totally different necks of the woods. And my wife can tell you stories about how she would tell you, we're going to go to her pop-pop's house and it's just around the corner. And I'm thinking in my head, that's around the corner. Literally, I can walk there. That's not how it works. I didn't grow up in a neighborhood like she did. A 45-minute car ride to her is around the corner. A 45-minute car ride to me is a commute. So now when we think of communication, if by her just saying a simple phrase that what she's used to me makes a giant misconception. We wind up not getting together in the same level. Now I say that because it's easy to relate to a human conversation where we use words and lingo that we don't understand. So when it comes into dog training, when it comes into having trainers that you're hiring and you're working with, you want to have a relationship with your trainer that's open communication, that you understand where both people are communicating into those levels. So that way, as they give you the tips, they're giving you the advice that you can go home with to work with your dog. You are set up with success because building the relationship that fits you and your dog is key, right? If you're an athlete, if you like exercising with your dog, you like camping with your dog, you like taking your dog on field trips, whatever it may be, you need to have that all portrayed to your trainer because when they start out the training, they need to know what your goals are so they can build your dog to those points. Board and trains, if you're dropping your dog off, or day trains, whatever it may be, we need to know as the trainer what your overall goal is. Because just training your dog to sit on the front lawn is not always the answer. We need to work distractions. We need to work cars, vehicles, off leash, non-off leash, hunting, driving. And again, if you're going to go into sports, if you're going to go into barn hunting or something of the matter, you got to think about it. We need to know these things so we don't hurt your advancement in those sports, because some training is highly distractive, meaning that we have to work the dog to not move. And you have a sport where you need the dog to move a lot, right? So you want to make sure that the training is always lined up to your needs, and communication is a key. All right. Now, again, I want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, pop them up in the comment section. We can see it. I can see it, and we can have an open conversation here. Again, we look at communication as a key. Right. And I don't, like I said, this week in particular, we had so much going on at our facility, so many different changes and so many different things that we've gotten a lot of behavioral dogs recently. And I see that the communication between some of them and tips from YouTube and tips from here and there have been dropped off. And when I break it down to really understanding this kind of stuff is where I see the communication has dropped. One thing, dog trainers, if you are a dog trainer and you're listening to the show, Let me give you some advice as well. Stop using big terms, or what I like to call industry standard terms, to your clients. It's not fair to your client, and you're trying to get your client to understand something that's not fair that they don't. If you're using the industry terms to your client who's not necessarily in the industry, you are wrong. You are trying to make yourself seem smarter. Don't do that. It's not fair to the dog. The dog is why you're here. The dog is why you're doing what you're doing. You need to break it down to your client the best way possible. Your client will then talk to you and be more open with you and communicate better with you because of the fact that you are communicating with them. And then that means their relationship with their dog gets stronger. And that's what this episode is all about. It's all about everybody being open, honest, and breaking them things down to the levels that everybody can understand. Dog training is not a complicated thing. Communication is not a complicated thing. We just have to be open and honest with one each other so we can all get the successes that we are looking for. That's what this is all about. We are all in this together, is break it down. And that's the key, is breaking every little baby step down. Now, dog training relies to 3 points. It's the operant, the classical, and the clever Hans. So you have to think about it. It's a 30-day system, 60-day system, 90-day system of consistent behaviors over long periods of time. So now, all of a sudden, when we're breaking this in, we're trying to get into our points. A lot of times we have to realize that it's a lot of rinse and repeat. It's a lot of slow introductions. It's a lot of breaking small barriers down between one another, between our dogs. That's all communicado. That's what we're looking for here in the communication system. Dog training is not that difficult. It's not that crazy. Behavior rehabilitation with our dogs, something big that's popping up tons of times right now. Again, major misconception in the marketplace. For example, last week we talked about we talked about the difference between socialization and acceptance, and this is another big thing. Socialization is not letting your dog play with other dogs. Socialization is getting your dog to accept and ignore the environment. Accepting is playing with other dogs and that kind of stuff. It's a different ball game. And if you're getting a puppy, if you have stuff, if you spent last year pretty locked up and weren't able to get around things, your dog is going to start reacting to the kids that are playing outside, the go-karts, the power wheels, the bicycles. You need to start communicating to your dog what is acceptable by not talking, but by showing, right? So like we have what I call the window system. We call it the fear of loss. We block the windows and we only allow the dog to see outside through one focal point. And when my dog is not giving me unwanted behavior, meaning barking and all that stuff, they're cool, calm, collective, and watching outside, that window remains visually open. If my dog barks out the window at the bicycles or the kids, I would block the window, making my dog lose sight of said items outside. And here's the key, once my dog calms down and gives me my wanted behavior again, I immediately, with no verbal communication, I immediately remove my blocker and allow the dog to have visual communication to the exterior of the home. Now, we do this because of the fact that I want my dog to feel rewarded for giving me the behavior I want. I also don't want to accidentally give them a reward that I don't want, right? Meaning if I tell them to be quiet, okay, and they're barking, that means be quiet means to bark. So you have to think about that for a second. You don't want to tell your dog be quiet while they're barking, because obviously now be quiet means bark. So by not saying a word and just blocking the window, I'm literally telling my dog what I'm about to do. My dog will learn this through what they call the clever Hans effect. My dog will see what I'm about to do. My dog will start to predict what I'm about to do. And my dog will literally start to curve their own behavior, giving me what I want, and slowly but surely learning that they do not need to bark out the window if they want to see what's outside the window. That simple. The other thing is, don't correct the dog for barking necessarily, because barking and growling, these are communication tools that your dog uses to communicate to you. So you have to give your dog an opportunity to communicate to you. So you could teach a command called place. Place is a boundary, allows your dog to feel safe, secure, but more or less it gives you respect too. So if your dog is having tons of anxiety, they can sit on the place box. They can let out the anxiety while still giving you respect of your command of obedience and staying on the box. So this is a good way of just getting things out there and breaking things down for you guys. Like I said, communication is an open forum and it goes across, but it starts when you guys reach out to us as dog trainers or groomers, even groomers, right? Your groomers are probably, and this is amazing to think about it, but they're one of your first health step if you really think about that in the industry. So they see your pet more often than anybody else does in the industry. They see your dog more often than your veterinarians, vet techs, trainers, boarding facilities, obviously, right? And they do a full body check because they're obviously checking the ears, nose, feet, paws, underbelly, everything was they're cleaning the dog, giving them full-fledged baths. They are doing literally like complete once-overs. Now, I can honestly tell you, I'm learning this recently. I'm looking forward to having some groomers on there. So if you're a groomer and you would like to be featured on my show here on Dog Talk, or if you know anybody else that's in the pet industry, please have them message me. I would love to bring some people on in the industry to teach others about different steps. So again, if you are looking out there, but this is what I've been learning a lot about with grooming, is that groomers are so on top of checking the dog over for so many different things that you even too, when you drop your dog up at your groomer, don't just tell them about getting a fresh cut. Tell them if you feel that if the ears might be inflamed, if you saw your dog scratching their ears or whining or whimpering, your groomer is going to be doing a full body check. One, it keeps them safe. If your dog's not feeling good and your groomer touches that area, right, that could cause them to get bit. But more importantly, it'll allow the groomer to know, and the groomer can check them while they're cleaning, they're giving their body a wash or giving them a haircut or whatever it may be. So this is something, again, communication. You want to be as full, open, and honest and open with your team here in the pet industry. Your pet stores, talk to your people that work at your pet stores. You typically buy your food at the same place all the time. So if you do that, have a good relationship with your store consultants. They will get to know you. They will get to know your dog. That way, if something's going bad with the food, they'll be able to get your food checked. If it's needed to be recalled or switched, or if your dog's having stomach issues, they'll be on top of it. You want to have these relationships because it builds you and your dog together. It's a great way of having good, strong connections. All right. So this is a good way. All right, guys, I'm coming close to the end of the show. I have to do a couple of quick announcements. First announcement, all of month of April, if you take a picture of your dog dressed up as a Star Wars theme or make a Star Wars themed picture, post it on your Facebook page or Instagram and tag us at BLK9TV. Okay. It's very simple. Picture of your dog somehow, some way related to Star Wars, and put it on Facebook or Instagram and tag at BLK9TV, and you will be entered to win a May drawing. Okay, so on May the 4th, I'm going to do a drawing on every single person that has tagged, and you can enter every time you post a picture, FYI. Every time you post a picture, your name will be added. Okay, so we will count up every tag that's in there. We put your name in, and we will pull out some winners. The winners can go all the way from a free day of dog training, which is our Blue Line Canine Country Club, all the way up to a full-fledged training program. They might get free merchandise or discounts. I mean, we're looking to give away a bunch of stuff on May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you is the idea here. So we are doing a Star Wars theme. We're giving you the entire month of April. And on May the 4th, I'm going to pull your names out and we're going to give discounts. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pull out the discounts from one hat. We're going to pull the name out, and whatever you get, you get. And that's going to happen on May the 4th. But here's the thing. You have to tag BLK9TV and post that picture on your Facebook page of your dogs in some sort of themed Star Wars outfit or feature. If you're really good at the whole, I had one tag the other day. It says, "These are not the dogs you are looking for." I'm still laughing about it. Definitely let's keep this going. Let's see what we can get out there, guys. So if you're looking for from some free Blue Line Canine merchandise, discounts at one of our facilities, or all the way up to a free training program, this is time to get out there and do it. For the whole month of April, post a picture, tag at BLK9 TV. All right. Again, last but not least, my quick announcements. April 3rd, 11 a.m., we'll be doing working dogs at the training center located at 800 Pulaski Highway in Joplin, Maryland. If you are interested in doing some bite work, learning how to decoy, learning how to work these dogs, go ahead, give us a call or shoot us an email, send us a message. We only have a few spots. I believe there's 2 or 3 left open right now. If you're interested, you got to sign up. It's a registration only. April 9th, 10th, and 11th, I will be down with Jeff and his team at the Raleigh Home and Garden Show at the Raleigh Convention Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. April 13th, Dog Talk Live at the Instill Distilling Company in Clayton, North Carolina. So if you guys are in the area, please drop by. So that's 2 weeks from now. We'll be doing a 6 p.m. Dog Talk Live with free dog training. April 16th, 17th, 18th, I'm teamed up with Throwaway Dogs, nonprofit organization. If you check them out, please shoot them a donation. And they'll be hosting the Canine Summit for law enforcement and others looking to learn about building working dogs. April 23rd, 24th, and 25th, I'll be at the Mary Meadows Campground in Baltimore County, giving away free dog training as we enjoy our camping trip there. So if you guys are out there and about there, please hit us up. Outside of that, thank you so much for liking, loving, and sharing our show. Keep it going. Let's keep these subscribers building up so we can keep getting our message out there. If you are looking for anybody to come on a show, if you are a dog, pet store, pet treat, or any of the sort, please shoot me a message. I would love to have you on the show, build your business, get you out there. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you guys next week or see you tomorrow for Stuck in the Truck at 8:45 tomorrow morning. All right, everybody, you all have a good night, and we'll see you then.